At some point in life, you realize something uncomfortable. Life did not go the way you expected. Not dramatically wrong, not completely broken. Just different. Different timing, different path. Different version of you than the one you imagined years ago. And that difference is often quieter than failure, but heavier than you expected. And that is when a quiet question appears. Did I fall behind? You see people moving faster, reaching milestones earlier, speaking with certainty while you still feel unfinished. And the comparison happens almost automatically. The hardest part is not comparison itself. It is the meaning you attach to it. The idea that time might be measuring your worth instead of shaping your experience. But what if this feeling is not failure? What if this phase is not proof you are late? What if it is proof that you are changing in ways that cannot be rushed? Because some of the most important growth in life does not look like progress. It looks like confusion. It looks like slowing down. It looks like starting again. It looks like questioning things that once felt obvious. And sometimes it looks exactly like ripening. Slow, invisible, misunderstood. A process that rarely receives recognition while it is happening. Until suddenly, it becomes clarity. There is a moment in life when movement stops being the goal and understanding becomes more important. When doing more no longer feels like moving forward, and reflection begins to feel necessary instead of optional. You notice how fast everything moved, how many plans changed, how many versions of you never happened, and how many expectations quietly dissolved without ceremony. This realization is not dramatic. It is subtle, but it changes how you see your past and how you approach your future. This question rarely arrives suddenly. It appears in quiet moments. When you compare, when you hesitate, when you realize time moved whether you felt ready or not. When you notice others appear certain while you still feel unfinished. It can feel like something is slipping, like you missed a window, like life moved forward while you were still figuring things out. Like everyone else understood something earlier than you did. But what if nothing went wrong? What if this phase was never delay but development? What if you were never late, only ripening? What if the pace that feels slow now is the pace that allows depth later? Ripening does not announce itself. It happens slowly, quietly, often invisibly. It looks like uncertainty while it is happening and clarity only later. It feels like confusion in real time and meaning in hindsight. Most people are not afraid of time. They are afraid that time means something about their worth. That each year becomes evidence instead of experience. We inherit invisible timelines without noticing, ideas about when life should make sense, when success should appear, when certainty should arrive. And when reality moves differently, tension grows inside us, not because we failed, but because expectation was never questioned. Comparison rarely explodes, it accumulates. You begin measuring your life against moments that were never designed for you, against milestones that do not know your story. against timelines that cannot see your internal growth. Lives do not unfold evenly. They unfold personally through context, personality, circumstance, and timing that cannot be standardized. Some people bloom early and struggle later. Some struggle early and bloom later. Some change direction many times before alignment appears. And many people appear certain long before they actually feel it. What looks like delay is often development happening out of sight. Real growth is quiet, repetitive, and almost invisible day to day. It rarely looks impressive while it is real. When you are younger, speed feels like progress. Movement feels meaningful. Momentum feels like proof that life is working. Doing more feels safer than understanding more. But over time, something shifts. Movement without direction begins to feel exhausting. Effort without clarity begins to feel loud. Busyness stops feeling like purpose. And slowly you understand that nothing was wasted. Every detour revealed preference. Every mistake revealed pattern. Every pause revealed perspective. Every period of uncertainty was teaching emotional tolerance. Ripening is this quiet accumulation of understanding. It does not change your life overnight. It changes how you see your life, and that changes everything. It changes decisions before it changes outcomes. You become less reactive, more selective, more protective of your energy than your image. More aware that attention is one of your most valuable resources. And from this awareness, a different confidence emerges. Not loud confidence, but grounded confidence. Confidence rooted in clarity rather than certainty. Confidence that allows flexibility without panic. Clarity changes what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you no longer feel the need to prove, what you quietly release without explanation. This is where a quieter form of power begins. The phase where proving becomes optional and choosing becomes central. Where identity becomes less performance and more alignment. You speak less about plans. You recover faster from disappointment. You trust yourself sooner in uncertainty. You stop narrating your life for validation. From the outside, this phase looks calm. Inside, it is reconstruction. Slow structural change that cannot be rushed without breaking something important. Identity softens. Expectations loosen. Fear becomes more specific and easier to face. You begin understanding what is actually yours to carry. You do not become fearless. You become less chaotic. And that reduction of chaos creates space for direction. Ripening does not remove difficulty. It changes your relationship with difficulty. You stop interpreting every challenge as proof you are off track. Uncertainty becomes transition instead of failure. Mistakes become information instead of identity. Delay becomes sequence instead of loss. And slowly the story, I am late, begins to lose authority. Because being late is not a fact. It is a perspective shaped by comparison. When perspective shifts, the past reorganizes. Endings reveal direction. Confusion reveals preparation. Time reveals continuity. Confidence later in life reflects integration, It allows uncertainty without panic. It allows change without self-betrayal. Maturity brings perspective. The ability to see cycles instead of crises. To recognize that emotions move, identity evolves, urgency dissolves. Relationships shift within this awareness. Not necessarily fewer, but more intentional. Ambition evolves in the same way. It does not disappear. It becomes honest. Eventually, a quiet realization emerges. There is no universal schedule to arrive at life. There are only phases of understanding. Ripening is the phase where experience integrates. Mistakes become pattern recognition. Time becomes perspective instead of pressure. Nothing was wasted. Even confusion was shaping perception. If you feel late right now, it may be awareness rather than failure. Ripening begins the moment comparison loses authority and clarity begins to take its place. Life is less about catching up and more about becoming coherent. You are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming someone capable of holding what once felt out of reach. And one day the realization arrives quietly. You did not fall behind life. Life was preparing you for yourself. If this message found you at the right moment, let it be a gentle reminder that your timing is not broken and your story is still unfolding. If aging like wine resonates with you, consider subscribing and staying with this journey. Thank you for being here. Truly, we are all still ripening.